I need to tell you something that's going to sound paranoid, something that's going to make you uncomfortable, something that might make you want to stop listening and go back to scrolling. But I'm asking you, begging you to hear me out. Because what I'm about to reveal isn't conspiracy theory, it's engineered reality. And it's happening to you right now, in this exact moment, whether you realize it or not. Your phone isn't listening to your conversations to show you ads. That's what everyone thinks, that's what everyone worries about. But that's not the real threat. The real threat is so much worse, so much more invasive, so much more dangerous, that listening would actually be preferable. Because at least if they were listening, you'd still be in control of your thoughts. But they're not listening. They're reprogramming. And you're letting them. If you're brave enough to hear the truth, drop a comment and say, I'm listening. Because this isn't for everyone. This is only for people who are ready to see what's really happening. 3 weeks ago, I was in a meeting with the head of AI development at one of my companies. We were discussing neural interface technology, how to connect human brains directly to computers. And he said something that stopped me cold. You know, we're already doing this, right? We've been doing it for years. Every smartphone is a primitive neural interface. We just convince people to hold it in their hands instead of implanting it in their heads. I laughed. I thought he was joking. He wasn't. He pulled up data. Real data. Brain scans. Behavioral studies. Psychological research that Silicon Valley has been conducting for over a decade. And what I saw made me physically sick. Your phone isn't a tool you use, it's a device that's using you. Every app, every notification, every infinite scroll, it's all designed with one purpose, to hijack your brain's reward system and reprogram your behavior without your conscious awareness. This isn't an accident. This isn't a side effect. This is the core business model. You are not the customer. You are the product. But more than that, you're the experiment. And the experiment is working better than anyone ever imagined. Let me show you exactly what they're doing to you. Every time you get a notification, your brain releases a small hit of dopamine. That's the pleasure chemical. The same chemical released by cocaine, by gambling, by any addictive substance. Your phone has been designed to deliver that dopamine in the most addictive pattern possible, variable reward scheduling. You know why you can't stop checking your phone? It's the same reason slot machines are addictive. You never know when the next reward is coming. Maybe this notification is important. Maybe this scroll will show you something interesting. Maybe this time you'll get the dopamine hit you're craving. The uncertainty is what makes it addictive. And they know this. Every tech company knows this. We've hired psychologists, neuroscientists, and behavioral specialists specifically to make our products as addictive as possible. We call it user engagement. But what we're really doing is exploiting known vulnerabilities in human psychology to create dependency. The average person checks their phone 96 times a day. That's once every 10 minutes while awake. But here's what terrifies me. That's not a choice. That's a compulsion. Your brain has been trained to need those dopamine hits the same way an addict needs their fix. And it's not just addiction. That would be bad enough. But what they're doing goes so much deeper. Every interaction with your phone is training your brain. Every scroll is teaching your attention span to shorten. Every notification is teaching you to be reactive instead of proactive. Every algorithm-curated feed is teaching you what to think, what to want, what to believe. You think you're choosing what to watch, what to read, what to buy. You're not. The algorithm is choosing for you based on what will keep you engaged longest. And engaged doesn't mean happy or fulfilled or informed. It means unable to look away. I had dinner with a former Facebook executive last week. He doesn't let his kids use social media. None of the tech executives do. Steve Jobs didn't let his kids use iPads. The people who built these systems know exactly how dangerous they are. They've built digital prisons, and they're keeping their own families out while the rest of the world walks in voluntarily. He told me something that made my blood run cold. We tested everything. Every color, every sound, every tiny detail. We tested hundreds of variations to find the exact combination that would make people unable to stop scrolling. And when we found it, we deployed it to billions of people simultaneously. We created the largest behavior modification experiment in human history, and it worked. Let me tell you what this behavior modification is doing to you, to all of us. Your attention span is shrinking. Studies show the average attention span has dropped from 12 seconds in 2000 to 8 seconds now. You literally have a shorter attention span than a goldfish. Not because you're lazy or weak-willed, because your brain has been systematically trained to crave constant stimulation. You can't focus on anything for more than a few minutes without feeling the urge to check your phone. You can't sit with your own thoughts without filling the silence with scrolling. You can't be present with the people you love because part of your brain is always wondering what's happening online. And it's getting worse. Your kids are growing up with this as normal. They're being programmed from birth to need constant digital stimulation. Their brains are being wired differently than any generation in human history, and we have no idea what the long-term consequences will be. But the attention destruction is just the beginning. What they're really doing is manipulating your behavior at a mass scale. Every piece of content you see has been selected by an algorithm designed to trigger specific emotional responses. Anger keeps you engaged longer than happiness. Fear keeps you engaged longer than calm. Outrage keeps you engaged longer than agreement. So that's what the algorithm feeds you. Content that makes you angry. Content that makes you afraid. Content that makes you outraged. Not because it's true or important or good for you, because it keeps you scrolling. And here's the terrifying part. This is changing how you think. You're being trained to see the world as more dangerous, more divided, more hopeless than it actually is. Because that's what keeps you engaged. That's what makes you come back. You think you're forming your own opinions. You're not. You're being shown carefully curated information designed to push you toward predetermined conclusions. And it's so subtle, so gradual, that you don't even notice it's happening. I talked to a data scientist who worked on recommendation algorithms. She quit because she couldn't handle what she was doing anymore. She told me, we could predict with 80% accuracy what you would think about a political issue before you even saw content about it. Not because we could read your mind. Because we controlled what information you saw. We shaped your reality, and you never knew it was happening. This is social engineering at a scale that's never existed before. Billions of people, all receiving personalized propaganda designed to influence their behavior, their beliefs, their choices. And it's so effective that people defend it. They argue that they're not being manipulated, even as they're being manipulated into arguing that. Let me tell you what happens to your brain when you use social media for just 30 minutes. Your cortisol levels spike, that's your stress hormone. Your prefrontal cortex activity decreases, that's the part of your brain responsible for rational decision-making and impulse control. Your amygdala activity increases, that's the fear and emotional response center. In other words, social media makes you more stressed, less rational, and more emotional. That's not a bug, that's a feature. Because stressed, irrational, emotional people are easier to manipulate. They're easier to sell to, they're easier to keep engaged. And the more you use these platforms, the more pronounced these effects become. Your brain is literally being rewired. Neural pathways are being strengthened and weakened. Your baseline emotional state is shifting. You're becoming a different person, not through your choices, through exposure to engineered stimuli designed to change you. I've seen the internal research. Tech companies know exactly what they're doing to people's mental health. They know their platforms increase anxiety, depression, loneliness, and self-hatred. They know teenagers who use Instagram are significantly more likely to have body image issues and suicidal thoughts. They know their algorithms are radicalizing people, creating echo chambers, destroying nuance and empathy. And they don't care, because fixing these problems would decrease engagement. And decreased engagement means decreased profit. So they keep doing it. They keep optimizing for addiction and manipulation. And they keep telling you it's your fault if you can't handle it. Here's what really scares me. We're at the beginning of this. AI is getting exponentially more powerful. The ability to predict and manipulate behavior is going to get exponentially more sophisticated. And we're already at the point where most people can't resist it. What happens when AI can predict your behavior better than you can? What happens when it can manipulate you into doing things you'd never consciously choose? What happens when the line between your thoughts and programmed thoughts disappears completely? We're not far from that. We're maybe 5 years away from AI that can craft personalized content so perfectly calibrated to your psychology that resisting it is essentially impossible. Content that knows exactly what images, words, sounds, and timing will trigger the exact emotional response desired. Content that can shift your opinions, your behavior, your entire worldview without you having any idea it's happening. And the people building this technology aren't evil. They're just optimizing for engagement. They're just following the incentives. They're just building what the market rewards. But the result is the same. A technology that's fundamentally incompatible with human agency and free will. I know this sounds extreme. I know you're thinking, it's not that bad. I'm in control. I can stop whenever I want. That's what every addict thinks. That's what the programming wants you to think. So, let me ask you something. When was the last time you went a full day without checking your phone? When was the last time you sat with your own thoughts for an hour without distraction? When was the last time you were fully present with someone you love without part of your attention being pulled toward your device? If you can't remember, or if the thought of doing these things makes you anxious, you're not in control. You've been programmed. And the longer you deny it, the deeper the programming goes. Here's what I'm doing about this, and here's what I need you to do. I'm implementing strict rules in all my companies. No infinite scroll, no variable reward scheduling, no manipulation of emotions for engagement. We're going to build technology that respects human psychology instead of exploiting it. It will probably make less money. I don't care. Some things are more important than profit. I'm funding research into the long-term effects of digital manipulation. Real research, not the kind that tech companies fund to get the results they want. We need to understand what's happening to human brains, especially children's brains, from constant exposure to these systems. I'm advocating for regulation, real regulation, the kind that forces tech companies to prioritize user well-being over engagement, the kind that treats addictive design the way we treat other addictive products, the kind that holds companies accountable for the harm their algorithms cause. But most importantly, I'm asking you to wake up, to see what's being done to you, to take back control of your own mind. Here's what you need to do, starting right now. First, delete social media apps from your phone. Not someday, today, right after you finish listening to this. You can keep the accounts if you want, check them on your computer, where the friction is higher and the addictive design is less effective. But get the apps off your phone. Second, turn off all notifications except for actual humans trying to reach you. No app should be able to interrupt your life whenever it wants your attention. You decide when to engage with technology. It doesn't decide for you. Third, create phone-free zones in your life. No phones at meals, no phones in the bedroom, no phones during conversations. Treat phone use like smoking something you do intentionally in designated times and places, not something that permeates every moment of your existence. Fourth, notice the urges. When you feel the compulsion to check your phone, pause. Sit with the discomfort. Recognize it as an artificially created craving, not a real need. The urge will pass. And every time you resist it, you're retraining your brain. You're taking back control. Fifth, talk about this. The invisibility of this manipulation is what makes it so effective. Make it visible. Tell people what's being done to them. Share this message. Break the silence that lets this continue unchecked. I know this is hard. I know your brain is screaming at you to dismiss this, to rationalize, to defend your phone use. That's the programming. That's the defense mechanism that's been installed to protect itself. But you're stronger than the programming. You're capable of seeing what's real and choosing differently. You're capable of taking back your attention, your behavior, your thoughts. You're capable of being free. Last night, I turned off my phone for 24 hours. First time in years. And you know what happened? Nothing. The world didn't end. No emergencies occurred that couldn't wait. But something else happened that I didn't expect. I remembered what my own mind feels like, the thoughts that arise naturally instead of reactively, the presence that's possible when you're not constantly interrupted, the peace that comes from not being manipulated by machines designed to keep you anxious and engaged. That's what they've taken from you. Not your privacy, not your data, your own mind, your ability to think clearly, to focus deeply, to be present fully, your agency, your freedom. And you can take it back, but only if you're willing to see what's been done. Only if you're willing to admit you've been programmed. Only if you're willing to do the hard work of deprogramming yourself. This isn't about technology being bad. I build technology. I believe in its potential to improve human life. But right now, the most powerful technology in human history is being used to exploit human psychology for profit. And if we don't stop it, if we don't change course, we're going to lose something fundamental about what it means to be human. Your phone isn't listening to your conversations. It's doing something so much worse. It's rewriting your brain. It's controlling your behavior. It's stealing your ability to think freely and choose consciously. And the only way to stop it is to see it, to name it, and to refuse to participate in your own manipulation. The choice is yours, but make it now, because every moment you delay, the programming gets deeper, and eventually, you won't be able to choose at all. Wake up, take back your mind, be free. I want to tell you one more thing before you go, something personal, something I haven't shared with anyone publicly. 2 months ago, my youngest son asked me a question that broke my heart. We were sitting at dinner, and he said, "Dad, why do you love your phone more than me?" I immediately denied it. I told him that was ridiculous, that of course I loved him more than a device. But he just looked at me with these eyes that saw right through me, and he said, "Then why do you look at it more than you look at me?" He was right. I was sitting at dinner with my child, and I was checking my phone. I was there physically, but I was absent mentally. I was choosing a glowing screen over my son's face, and I didn't even realize I was doing it until he called me out. That moment changed everything for me, because I realized if I can't resist this, if someone with all the resources and knowledge in the world can't maintain control over my own attention, what chance does everyone else have? This isn't about willpower. This isn't about being weak or undisciplined. This is about fighting against billions of dollars and thousands of the smartest engineers in the world, all working to make sure you can't put the phone down. You're not failing at resisting your phone. Your phone is succeeding at capturing you, and it will keep succeeding until you understand that you're in a fight for your own mind, a fight for your presence with the people you love, a fight for your ability to think your own thoughts. My son's question woke me up. I'm asking you, what will it take to wake you up? What will you lose before you realize what's being stolen? How much of your life will you give to these devices before you decide to take it back? Don't wait until your child asks why you love your phone more than them. Don't wait until you've scrolled away years of your life. Don't wait until you can't remember what it feels like to be present. Start now. Start today. Delete one app. Turn off one notification. Put your phone down during one meal. Take back one small piece of your attention, and then another, and another. Because freedom isn't found all at once. It's reclaimed one choice at a time, one moment of resistance at a time, one decision to be present instead of distracted. You have the power to choose differently. You always have. The programming just made you forget. Share this message with someone who needs to hear it, someone who's glued to their phone, someone who seems anxious and distracted all the time, someone who's being consumed by technology without realizing it. And drop a comment telling me, are you ready to take back control? Will you delete the apps? Will you create boundaries? Will you fight the programming? Because I need to know there are people who understand what's happening and are willing to do something about it.